So we're going to have a conversation about real estate pricing and videography.
Sounds like a plan to me.
You good with that?
I'm good with that.
Okay. So I talked about this in the other video. I said that I've changed my pricing strategies for 2022, 2021. Late 2021, we made some pricing strategies. By the way, this is my good friend, Nick Davis. Nick is a real estate agent here in Tampa Bay, but when he's not selling real estate, he's photographing and videographing real estate. So we're gonna have a conversation and we're gonna talk about our pricing strategy going forward for 2022. What's good, everybody? Ken here. You're watching OriginaldoBo. Today, we're talking about real estate videography and photography pricing strategies. I have my good friend Nick Davis, who works with me and actually shoots houses for me when I'm not available, which has been a lot lately.
Yes, it has.
So thank you for bailing me out. I met Nick 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, Nick emailed me and said, hey, I'm sort of trying to figure things out. I'm watching your videos and I like what you're doing. I noticed that you're in Tampa. Would you be willing to have a cup of coffee with me and just chat? So usually I don't do blind dates, but we sat down and had a cup of coffee and we just hit it off. And ever since that day, just him cold emailing me, we've been like the best of friends. Yeah. And now he is he's the only person with the key to the studio.
I'm mini you.
You're more like Joey Tribbiani the way you look. So how long have you been in real estate?
I've been in real estate since 2005. I retired from the Army in 05 and got into real estate in 05. And we were doing photos, with a company. We hired them. They were recommended to us. And somewhere, it was probably just before we met, the owner actually passed away. Oh. And and his shooters weren't like him.
Right.
And so the quality went down. And so my wife, who's a realtor, said to me, she says, well, why don't we buy a camera and you start shooting photos? How hard could it be? It was pretty hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
It is. And so then I reached out and found you and reached out to you and you've helped us progress our photography and our videography. And then I had agents in our office. I don't, aside from helping you, I don't shoot photos for anybody.
Right. You're sort of like an internal photographer because you're doing work with RE/MAX. So like RE/MAX agents, you're shooting for them, but you're not going out there and saying, hey, I'll shoot for this brokerage or that brokerage.
No,
you keep your photography and your customers are internal. So you have sort of like a pre-made customer base essentially.
Yes, it's other agents in our office, and you. I've helped you.
You're working with me with agents, but you have something that I didn't have. So I may have had like skill sets and an understanding and the creativity to do this, but when you're building this business to shoot photography and videography, you also have to have a good back end for the business.
Yes. Which
is where you've helped me fix things that I didn't have in place. So let's talk about the pricing. So we've called numerous photographers, videographers that primarily deal with real estate when we were working on this new pricing. Because you said, the first thing you said to me about my pricing was it's too wide. There's too big of a gamut for the pricing, and that I needed to be a little bit more direct and narrow.
Dialed in is the term.
Dialed in is the term used. So our pricing now is no longer based like on square foot percentages. Like some photographers, some videographers, they'll use like square foot and they'll say, we're going to times that square footage by 10%.
Yeah.
The problem is it's too much math every single time you're dealing with an agent. They're having to do the math on that, every time they go to call you versus, okay, I know the house is in between this square footage.
Exactly.
How much is it going to cost and what I need to do? So
exactly.
You said something that was interesting to me about nickel and diming the customers.
Yes. As a realtor, the one thing that really always torqued me off was they said, well, photos are going to be $150.
Right.
And then you show up and, it's photos. Yeah, they're going to do photos for $150. But they're not telling you that, that drone's not included. Oh, drone's another $75. And it was kind of this a la carte thing where, it was nickeling and diming, and the price wasn't the price
Right.
that they said when they got there. So it's kind of the bait and switch. And I wanted to, when I was in the Army, they used to say, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to, when I formulated my pricing, it was geared for 2 packages, photos, which included drone, and then photos and video.
Okay.
And just those 2, make it 2 choices.
Right.
It's easier.
And I agree with that strategy. And I had too many different things. I wasn't packaging video, and my videos were like, price-wise were way up here. But what I've noticed is the market is so hot now that video is tapered off tremendously, where agents just want photos, and I'm no longer getting those upsells. But I keep seeing you're doing video. I'm like, what are you doing? So basically what Nick's done is brought different tiers for square footage. So what's the first tier square footage?
First tier is 0 to 1,500 square feet.
Okay.
That's going to get us the condos, the townhomes, the older
small
homes,
2-bedrooms.
small 2-bedroom homes, 0 to 1,500. It's photos, which includes the drone, $150.
$150.
If you want the full package, which is the video, the basic video,
okay,
it's $325.
Okay.
So it's photos, drone, video, $325.
And I added the flair that if an agent is just calling you for video, I'd say the videos have to start at like $245.
Yes.
So if the agent just wants to do video, $245. Because sometimes you'll get that where an agent has a photographer, but they also don't have a videographer and they want a video, so $245. So what that does is when you say this to an agent, you say, hey, drone, video, photos, the whole shebang, $325. Or if you just want to use me just for your video, well, it's $245 for just video. So when they look at that, they see this cost savings.
They do.
And it's such a small, it's a shoebox, really.
Yeah.
1,500 square feet is super small, and you can blaze through them and just super easy. The other thing that I think there's this misconception, at least online, is around video, is people think that you have to charge thousands for video.
No.
And that's an invalid assumption, because you can do basic editing, no color grading, no crazy crap, and you can get a video banged out in like 20 minutes, and it's totally acceptable for an agent, providing you do the right things on site, and you can be done. So when we're talking about these prices, we're looking at it for a basic video.
Yes. And as we get up into the larger homes, that's where
the complexity increases.
Exactly. The complexity, the sheer size of the home, the price point of the home, you're going to have to maybe add lighting. You're going to,
right.
FPV. Something.
What's the next price level? So we go from 0 to 1,500. Now we're at from 1,500
to 2,500 square feet.
1,500 to 2,500 square feet. Yeah. What is the price for photos and drone photos only? Package price.
$200.
$200 on a house that's 1,500 to 2,500 square feet. Now, if they wanted to add video and they wanted to combine that as a package, what is the price on that?
$400.
And again, that is a basic video. Yep. This is not like what you see like Parker Wallback doing. That's not what make art. These are not $1 million homes. These are houses that are like $300,000 to $400,000. Not everybody lives in California. So, you got to be mindful that these prices are dependent on our market.
Location.
Right.
Location.
Right. Here in Florida, when we do a poll and we call all these other real estate photographers, they're all roughly right in line where we are. So we're building these prices on our market.
Yes.
The cost of living in Florida is a lot less than, let's say, New York. So don't take these prices as a matter of fact that this is what you should charge. This is just sort of how we're tiering our pricing to make it simple for our clients to understand.
Right. If someone's in California or something in 1,500 square foot house and their photos out there are $500 just for the photos,
right.
Well, price it that way.
Price it accordingly to your market.
Exactly. We looked at the market and said, where is the pricing? And then what can we do to bring better quality?
Correct.
That's the thing.
Correct. And we're really aiming for getting those add-ons, and we're trying to, the thing is, I'm trying to make at least $500 a day. As a real estate photographer, my goal, based upon my income and what I need to survive to pay my bills, I want to make $500 a day times 7 days a week.
Exactly.
That's what I want to make. And it's really simple to do. And there's a lot of tricks that once you really get embedded into being a photographer, that you're able to figure out and say, okay, this is how I can work a little bit more efficiently to obtain that $500 a day.
Absolutely.
Now, what's the next level up? So we go from 2,500 square feet. Now we're encroaching like these larger scale houses.
It's 25 to 3,500 square feet.
Okay.
It's 1,000. I tried to do 0 to 15 and then 1,000 square foot increments into the next level.
Okay.
So these are kind of maybe closer to the executive style homes.
Gotcha.
You know, pools, a lot more finishes, so you might have to throw in detail shots. It's gonna be, even though the video is not gonna be basic, it's gonna be a little bit next level.
It's gonna be next level.
Next level. So so that's 25 to 3,500 square feet, and the photos on that are $250.
Okay.
And the package with the photos and the videos is $450.
So $450 for those, which is pretty acceptable, because most of these houses are taking us about, no matter a size, even 4,500 or even a 3,500 square foot home is taking me roughly about an hour to do video and photos.
Yes.
30 minutes on your photos, 30 minutes on your video, and video moves so much faster than it does. So you're spending an hour's time and then maybe about an hour or so in post. So you got 2 hours time invested. So if you really think about it, you're making essentially $225 an hour on that house if you're going to sit there and you're not doing any sort of outsourcing on that house. So
absolutely.
So $450.
Yeah.
So now we get into the situation where now you're dealing with more of these $1 million listings. And this is where that balloon really tends to happen, because the agent has a higher expectation of quality and just the overall delivery of the package.
Absolutely.
So what's the next level of square footage that we're dealing with?
35 to 4,500 square feet.
35 to 4,500 square feet. Yeah. Now, this is where Nick and I differ in this regard, because while he has a package developed for this, I think this is where it's okay to get into a la carte listing prices.
And I, until recently, had this, and actually the house we did for the agents in our office that owned that house was like 4,200 square feet.
Right.
And we were there for a couple hours.
We were there for a couple hours. And I think that's where you have to evaluate your time, and you have to provide the agent an hourly rate. So what is going to be your hourly rate to get this job done? My hourly rate that I charge for video work is, I think, pretty cheap.
It is.
I'm, $155 to $225 an hour, depending on what the task is that I'm doing.
Absolutely.
That is per hour for somebody needs me. So if I go out to a shoot and that shoot is going to take me 4 hours on site, I'm going to charge that agent $155 times 4. Now, that does not include the time it takes me to edit the product. When the house is like that $1 million, 4,500 square feet, I'm charging an hourly fee plus an editorial fee. So I gather that in most instances that I'm editing a video like that, it's going to take me about 3 hours with soundscaping to edit that video.
Yes.
3 hours.
Easily.
So I'm going to quote them a standardized price to edit that video of $350 just for the edit itself. And that's really a discount at that price.
It really is. I mean, because if you try to outsource that,
and to outsource the video, you would lose in the entirety of control. So you lose all control whatsoever when it comes to outsourcing video. So my guess is, for many people, probably when you get to that encroached price of 4,500 square feet, it's okay to a la carte. Now, if you want to go package pricing, keep in mind, it's going to be really dependent on what it's worth to you and what time is worth to you. But if you price it too high, even with these $1 million listings, you price it too high, you're going to get a lot of no's. Agents are going to say, no, that is just something that is going to happen, because at the end of the day, they have to pay you for the marketing aspect of it. And then they're going to get, 2.5%, sometimes 3%.
Well, the thing is they haven't gotten paid yet.
Right. They haven't gotten paid.
And as a realtor, we're marketing someone's home in hope of it selling.
Right, and there's no guarantee it's going to sell.
Exactly.
Even with the market being as hot as it is today, they're
yeah.
basically paying this out in hopes that somebody's going to see this home, somebody's going to purchase it.
Absolutely.
And if it doesn't sell, they just lost out. And there's been a lot of agents that I've worked with that they've paid me $300-400 to do photos, video, and the house doesn't sell. They get fired as an agent, and they just lost $300 to $400. So it is a risk.
It is.
It is a risk, but it's more so of a risk when you're dealing with $1 million listing, because these $1 million listings have a very small group of purchasers that are going to be
able to purchase.
Right, exactly. So it's going to be a little bit different in those regards. So when you're thinking about doing real estate photography, realize that not every home is going to be $1 million listing.
No.
How many $1 million homes do you sell per year, would you say?
Well, I've been doing this 16 years, and I've sold 5 homes that were over $1 million.
And how many homes have you sold that are sub $300,000?
Hundreds. Yeah, we've probably sold over 700 houses.
Right.
And 5 of them were $1 million or more.
And that's the thing, is I think a lot of times when people think about doing these type of jobs, they see these guys on YouTube putting out these videos, and the expectation is that every house that I am going to shoot, every house that needs video, is a $1 million listing. I personally have only ever shot maybe 4 $1 million listings. 4.
I shot one 2 weeks ago. It was just over $1 million.
Right.
One out of all the houses that I've done for the agents in our office, one was $1 million.
But that's what I'm saying. It's not very often. Most of my listings that we're doing video on are from 350 to 450,000. That seems to be that nectar, that sweet spot. That median in our market. But again, everything we're talking about here right now is going to be dependent on where you live. If you are in California, your market is just
San Francisco is $1 million.
Yeah.
$1.5 million.
So $1 million there isn't going to get you what $1 million here in Florida.
Absolutely not.
Like here where we are. And if you're somebody who's maybe in Atlanta or Mississippi or somewhere, your market, you can get a hell of a huge house for sub $650,000, because again, it depends on that market. So keep that in mind, that these pricing strategies are not apples to apples. You're going to have to use what we've done and maybe the square footages to tailor it to you. So if you're interested, down below we'll have a link to a PDF file, or maybe it's Nick, do we have it in a Word doc that they can modify for themselves?
Actually, I can. I'll get it to you. I'll get it to you in the Word doc, and we'll get it into the description.
So we'll have it in the description below, where you can take this, you can download this, and then modify it for yourself. So when an agent asks you, what are your pricing? And you can say, here's my different steps that I go with, and this is where, it sort of balloons up from there. And I think that's a pretty fair thing. Yeah. Again, this is not financial advice, essentially. This is just business strategy. And you can either adopt this and see how it works for your business, or you can continue doing whatever works for you. Yeah. There is really no right or wrong way.
No.
So there we go. That's going to do it for this video. I hope this was insightful. I hope this was helpful. And if you're interested in more insights to this particular industry and want to see more videos between Nick and myself, be sure to go ahead and let me know below, because we'll definitely do more like this. We're wanting to do more of the behind the scenes, like more of the nitty gritty of how to in the shoots. Because yeah, editing photos, editing video is one thing, but actually capturing it in camera is more important than
behind the scenes.
Right.
Behind the scenes.
So, all right, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. We'll see you in the next one. Stay original.